you for clicking on this video, and I hope that I can bring you some good content. Anyway, the story that I'm going to tell you today is it's very harsh. It's the grim part that I talked about in some of my other videos. I just wanted to make sure that that if you are sensitive, then it's probably better that you don't listen to this story. This story is it's very sad. It's about a young girl in the 80s. Her name is Junko Furuto. So Junko Furuto was, I believe she was 17 years old, and she was in school, and she was being, let's say, bullied and seeked out by a man named Hiroshi Miyano. It's hard for me. I'm sorry if I have to keep looking away, but the names, I know I'm going to butcher them. But so this guy, he made advances towards her, and so she denied his advances. And so, from what I've read and heard, this guy had like a really big ego and obviously didn't want rejection. So what he did was he set up his other three other friends, and what they did was he had one of his friends, and I believe the friend's name is Minato, Shini Minato. So he had friends named Joe Agura, Shini Minato, and Yasushi Wan. This is funny. It says Watanabe. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh. That's not this story's not funny in any case. I'm just having trouble with the name. So what they did was Junko used to ride her bike. So Miyato set up to have one of her friends knock her off her bike, and so that he would be there to rescue her when she needed it. So he gained her trust in that moment. She was, from what I hear, she was a little leery of it, but after the being kicked off her bike by the other guy, and Miyato being there, or I'm sorry, Miyano being there to rescue her, supposedly helped her gain some trust. Well, unfortunately, what ended up happening is that he took her to a warehouse where he then assaulted her, SA'd her many times, and then ended up keeping her captive. So they kept her captive for, I believe, 40 or 44 days. I hear it two different ways. Some of them say 44 days. So the friends, Joe Agura, Shini Minatu, and Yasushi Wannabe, that what they were doing was they were all taking turns and SAing her, and I guess they had been known for doing these type of coordinated SAs on women. You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, they decided that they were going to keep her captive. So what they did was, after they kept her captive, this poor girl, like, this story, oh, it's so hard. It's like infuriating, it's kind of angering, and it's frustrating at the same time. Now, again, these were teens. Okay, so these kids were in high school. So it's said to be the post-wars, one of the post-war in Japan. I'm not sure if I mentioned this happened in Japan. One of the most heinous crimes, and they would assault her at whenever they felt like it. So then they started inviting people over, males, other people, to assault her as well. So it's said that more than hundreds of people took part in this. There was also a woman that was said to have seen her because Miyana was going around bragging about it. And the woman went there, but she didn't assist. She just, I believe she burned her or did something to her rather than help her. Like, to me, that is just so, like, unbelievably disgusting. How could another woman just sit there and watch another woman be treated like that? It's just, it's beyond anything I could ever even imagine happening, you know. So what was really sad is that, so they would keep her captive, and then apparently they took her outside a couple times and they burned her, and she didn't die. So they kept her, and what they would do was they would put her in the refrigerator or freezer. I told you this is going to be real bad. So what they would do is, um, and now remember this is a course of 40 to 44 days. They put her into freezer or fridge, and then they would take her out when they wanted to assault her. And then they would put her back in, and then they would take her out again and just continue to keep assaulting her. I can't imagine the pain that this person went through. God, it's just, it's really hard. I know this is a hard one to hear. So anyway, eventually, Junko Furuta, she succumbed to her injuries. I believe they tried to burn her one more time. What's interesting though about the story is that there is one guy with the last name Minato. His parents knew about it, but they didn't intervene because they were afraid of their own son, or that's what they claimed, that they were afraid of their own son. So eventually, as I said, she succumbed to her injuries. And though this was a heinous crime, the boys, eventually did get caught. One person did, I believe that was invited, turn them in. And so what they did was, because they were 18, some of them were 18 and some were under 18, they only got 20 years in prison. So it's just a really, really like gruesome story. It's sad. I just can't imagine what this poor girl endured, like the worst type of like pain and way of torture of to end someone's life. These um, teenage boys were not, I guess, eligible for the death penalty. I'm not even sure 100% what Japan does of all those laws. I haven't researched them all, but I had come across this story and I wanted to share it, and hopefully that we can just remember the poor girl that died. I have a little bit of notes here, but her name is Junko Furuto, and she was just a young girl just trying to live her life. And, she rejected the boy, and the boy just couldn't take no for an answer. And he just um, decided to do, whatever he wanted. And not only that, he just continued to do worse. And then on top of that, not only did his friends' parents help cover it up. When the police came, they told the police there was nothing wrong there. There was no girl there. I guess someone had reported the girl that, which is Junko. They reported her that there was something going on in that house, and the police did go there, and they were sent away by the parents again. The parents claimed they were afraid of their own son, so they didn't do anything. I can't find an excuse for that. It's just a really bad crime. This did happen, and I believe it was 88. So this girl, 88 or 89, she was born in 1971, so she would be somewhere near my age. But it's really sad because this poor girl had such a life like ahead of her. She was very smart, very liked, and she was also very attractive. And I guess, you know, the boys that were this particular boy had, complex and didn't want to be rejected by a woman. And so it's just really sad how women, fall victim to predators like this. This kind of brings up the thought of the story of where the Amber Alert came comes from. You know how in the United States, when there's an abduction, we get an Amber Alert. I believe that when that story happened, from what I remember, the predator, the child was out riding her bike, and the predator was watching her and knocked her off her bike in order to, gain her trust and to get her into the car and say, okay, I'm going to take you home. So this is the same thing that this guy Mayano did, but he had someone else commit the crime. I mean, not the crime, he had someone else knock her down off her bike, and then he wanted to be there to rescue her, to gain her trust. And unfortunately, she trusted him for like, gosh, I can't even, it's just hard to even wrap my head around this case, but I just wanted to share it with you, and hopefully that, we can remember poor Junko Furuta. Like, she died in some of the most heinous ways. I'll go ahead and leave the links down below, so you can read about her, and read about the situation, and find out more information about the guys that were involved if you need further research. For right now, I'm just going to leave it at this, and when I get more information about it, I will post it. But for right now, I just wanted to get the story out there. So thank you for listening if you've listened this far, and I hope to see you in the next video. Again, I'm sorry this one was a grim story, but I felt like it was a story that needed to be told because of what this poor girl endured, and that sometimes, like, women can be lured into situations and obviously gain trust. So we just need to be careful out there. Okay, take care, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.